In this lesson, we're going to look at multiplying out double brackets again, but this time with negatives in the brackets. So we've got to be very careful here when you're simplifying the algebra and then dealing with the negative calculations. So let's look at some examples. We're going to look at 6 different ones. You can see that they've all got negatives inside the brackets. The previous lesson just had positives, which made it much easier. But the idea is exactly the same. You're still going to multiply everything in this bracket by the x, and then everything in this bracket by the 4, but at this time it's going to be a negative 4. And that's the kind of thing, you've got to treat this as a negative 4 instead of a positive 4. But let's start off with the multiplying through by the x. So x times x, and that's just positive x times positive x, so that's just going to give us x squared. This time we're doing x times negative 2. So it kind of works this way, the sign comes before whatever you're dealing with. The reason that x is positive is because there's no sign in front of it, which implies a positive. So this 2 has got a negative in front of it, so we treat it as a negative 2. So when you're doing x times negative 2, well, that's negative 2x instead of positive 2x. You're now going to multiply everything in the second bracket by the negative 4. The sign's in front of the number, which implies it as a negative 4. So we're going to do negative 4 times x. That's negative 4x. And then in this last calculation, you've got negative 4 times negative 2. Now that gives you a positive 8 at the end. If you're not sure of negative numbers, then you should go and practice them before going on to this. I'm not going to do a negative numbers lesson. I'm just going to show you what the answers are. But if your negative numbers are letting you down, you need to go back and look at that. Okay, so to finish off, we need to tidy up this bit in the middle. The bit at the start is going to stay the same, the x squared. And the plus 8 at the end is going to stay the same. There's nothing happening to that. But again, here comes negative numbers. You've got to be confident of doing negative 2 take away 4. So if you think in a number line negative 2 and you go down 4, you get to negative 6. So there we are. X squared, take away 6x. I know I'm saying take away, but negative implies take away. So take away 6x and then plus 8. Okay, let's look at the next one. So we're doing x times x to start. Nice easy start, x squared. Now you're doing x times negative 1. That's negative 1x. Now we don't write the negative 1, we just write negative x. We're then moving on to the 6, which is a negative 6. So negative 6 times x is negative 6x. And to finish off, negative 6 times negative 1 is positive 6. Remember, this line is all about multiplying. You're multiplying the brackets at this point. So multiply the numbers, don't add them or subtract them. You're now thinking, when you're simplifying, you're now collecting things, which is adding or subtracting. So we've got x squared, then we've got a plus 6 at the end. Nothing's changing there. It's this middle bit. So you've got to concentrate on this middle bit, and you're doing a takeaway. We're doing negative x, starting with the negative x, and you're taking away 6. So that's going to get you to negative 7x. So final answer, x squared minus 7x plus 6. We like it in this order, from squareds down to x's down to numbers. Okay, so for the last 4 here, I'm going to kind of mix it up a wee bit and have them in different orders and put 3 x's instead of 1 x's in, just to show you what happens in those cases. Okay, so let's look at this first one. So we're going to back up here so as we remember what we're doing. We're doing these kind of first red parts. So we're doing 2 times x. Now you can put these in your jotter. You can go 2 and then put a wee looping bit to the x, because you're multiplying all of this by the 2. So 2 times x, that's just 2x. Then 2 times negative 3. Remember, that's a negative 3. So 2 times negative 3, negative 6. You're then going to move on to this. We're multiplying all of this bracket by the negative x. So negative x times x is negative x squared. And negative x times negative 3 is positive 3x. So we're done with the multiplying, we're just collecting things up now. Now, as I said up here, we quite like to put the x squareds first. But we've got to be careful here, because this x squared is a negative. You can see the sign in front of it implies it's a negative. So when I write it, I'm going to write negative x squared. I'm now going to move on, and I'm going to tidy up the x's. I'm going to collect them up. Now I've got a plus 3x implied by the sign in front, and I've got a 2x, and the sign in front is not 1 there, so it's a plus. So it's 2 plus 3, which makes it 5. And then I'm left with the 6, which the sign in front of it is a negative, so it's take away 6. Okay, next one. So start with the same process, and again, if you want to put these wee bits in, see these wee bits here, if you want to go like that, x times 2x. Okay, so when you're doing x times 2x, then you've really got a 1x here, and I tend to do numbers first. I do 1 times 2, which makes 2, and x times x, which makes x squared, so that's 2x squared. That's the answer to that bit. And again, if you want to put the lines in, if you want to go, okay, I want to do that now, that's absolutely fine. So this would be x times negative 5, because the sign's in front of it. So that'd be negative 5x. And then again, if you want to put these wee lines in here, we're doing negative 3 times 2x, because the sign is a negative in front of the 3. So negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. And then to finish off, I'll just join that back up. If you're doing negative 3 times negative 5. See the negative 3 and the negative 5, and that gives you a plus 15. Okay, the bit at the start is going to stay the same, the bit at the end is going to stay the same. It's a plus, and you're going to sort out this bit in the middle. This is where you're adding or subtracting. So we're doing negative 5 take away 6x. Oh, sorry, negative 5x take away 6x, and that's negative 11x. That's your final answer. Okay, on to the last two. Right, so same idea here. I'll just write these in actually. So we're starting with the 6. You're doing 6 times 7. Now it's a plus 6 because the sign in front of it's not there, which implies a plus. There's no sign in front of the 7, which implies a plus, so that makes a plus 42. You're then doing 6 times negative 3x. Now 6 times 3x would be 18x, but it's a negative, so it's negative 18x. And then you're moving on to the wee ones at the bottom, the green ones if you like. So I'm doing negative 2x times 7. Now 2x times 7 would be 14x, so it would be negative 14x. And then you're finishing off with negative 2x times negative 3x. Again, look at the numbers first. So we've got negative 2 times negative 3, that's plus 6. We've got x times x, which is x squared, so plus 6x squared. Now I'm just going to write it in this form with x squareds first. That's a plus 6x squared, clearly. Here we are. I've got this middle bit, so I've got negative 18x take away 14x, so that's negative 32x. And that's a plus 42. The sign in front of it's not there, which implies plus. So plus 42. Okay, last one. So on the last one, you could sometimes in the book it will say 4x minus 1 with a wee 2 above, 4x minus 1 squared. You would just write that like this with double brackets and then do your normal thing. So if that crops up, and I think we talked about it in the last lesson, there's a squared on top of the bracket, just write them out as double brackets and then carry on from here. So 4x times 4x, well 4 times 4, 16, x times x, x squared, so it's 16x squared. 4x times negative 1, well 4x times 1 is 4x, but 4x times negative 1 is negative 4x, and then you're on to this bit. Negative 1 times 4x, negative 4x, and to finish, negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. So we've got 16x squared, we've got the plus 1 at the end, it's just that wee bit in the middle you need to sort out. So negative 4x take away 4x is negative 8x, and you're finished.